Good evening, Canadian University sports fans. I'm your host, Jackson Jacobs, and welcome to Coast, the show that is your primary source for news across youth sports, keeping you up to date with the athletic achievements of your favorite schools. This week, we have a lot to cover, from the rebranding of CIS, the dominance of UBC at a nationally underrated sport, the women's soccer title being settled at Acadia's Raymond Field, and a preview of the 2016 Vanier Cup, among with a few special features that we have lined up. Canada, let's go coast to coast. Our first segment is called Head to Head, in which a controversial topic within the world of Canadian university sports is discussed. What could cause more controversy than changing the name of the whole organization altogether? Let's take a look at this promotional footage regarding the new face of university athletics in Canada. Joining me in head-to-head are coast-to-coast national correspondent Kia Cummings and OUA hockey analyst for the Ryerson Rams, Steven Sahoyas, to discuss the rebrand for better or for worse. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Jackson.
Thank you for having us.
Now, this rebrand was teased as a major shift in Canadian university athletics. Do you think that the final product adequately reflects the changes that were promised? Kia, let's start with you.
Well, I really don't think that what they've produced is of the quality of a final product. I believe that it very much looks like a draft of what they had intended to do, and even at that, I don't see this growing to be what they want it to be in the future.
And Steven?
Well, I think it's exactly what Kia said. It's a draft. It's not a final product yet. We haven't seen it develop. It's the main goal is to go from a governing body of athletics to a sports business, and that's not going to happen overnight, like the CEO, Graham Brown, said. So it's going to take time, but I think at the end of it, it's going to end up paying off big time for the university sports in Canada.
Is the name change enough to bring youth sports to the level of popularity that the NCAA is able to enjoy in the United States? Steven, let's start with you.
Yeah, and a name change isn't going to do that. Unfortunately, it's going to take a bit more, and it's going to take time. These things, like I said, I reiterate once again, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be a process, time in and time out. It's going to take a little while, but I think the whole look that they're going for and the whole sports business aspect that they want to incorporate in it is going to help it be something similar to the NCAA.
Unfortunately, I can't agree with those comments. I can agree with the fact that a name change and a rebrand isn't sufficient to achieve what they're looking to do. If the CIS or U Sports, whatever you want to call it, wants to reach the level of the NCAA, there are a large matter of things that need to change other than their name and their brand. They really need to look at the facilities that they hold for their athletes if they want to hold something of the caliber of March Madness, and currently we're not at the ability to facilitate that.
And the rebrand was introduced while some major sports seasons were already underway. Tournaments had already been branded with that CIS logo. Do you think the timing of this rebrand was improper?
Absolutely, it was an improper timeline that they went with for this. As you said, the CEO didn't say it was going to change overnight, but it very much changed overnight and mid-season. We had marketed a large amount of competitions like the Vanier Cup, and those now are rushing to switch over to a U Sports Vanier Cup, and it's confusing for the fans and for the viewers.
And Steven?
Yeah, I think it's perfect timing just because if you do it during the summer when no sports are happening, you lose the buzz. There's no university sports happening in the summertime, so you're not going to get that buzz of the athletics going on at the same time. So in my opinion, it was perfect timing because you're able to get it now while the sport's happening. And if you got to change a couple of banners, that's so what? Big deal. And the U Sports, it's not a gimmick. It's here to stay. So in the long run, I think it was perfect timing.
Now, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this edition of Head to Head. I'd like to thank our own Kia Cummings as well as special guest Steven Sahoyas for joining me. After the break, we welcome our newest correspondent, Jamie Hills of Canada West.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Sorry. Sorry.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Sorry. Sorry.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Welcome back to Coast. A Canada West dynasty has slipped under the radar. And with more on that, please welcome our new correspondent coming in live from Vancouver, British Columbia, Jamie Hills.
Thanks, Jackson. The University of British Columbia women's field hockey team completed an unbelievable feat this season, winning their 6th consecutive national championship. Led by a trio of North Vancouver natives Hannah Hahn, Stephanie Norlander, and Rachel Donahoe, the Thunderbirds become the only field hockey team to win 6 sequential national titles in the history of the tournament. When asked what brought the Thunderbirds continued success over her 5 years with the team, Hahn was quick to credit their team culture. More than anything else, I strongly believe that the key to our success has been our culture of inclusion, hard work, dedication, and fearlessness that was created by our alumni long before I arrived at UBC. This culture is what continues to attract both talented and diverse individuals to our team, and thus has left a lasting legacy on our program. A legacy is exactly what they've created, having played in the national final for the last 8 years, taking 7 of the titles. Once again, UBC faced the University of Victoria Vikes in the final in a strongly formed Canada West rivalry. The Thunderbirds faced the Vikes a total of 6 times this season, 4 games in the regular season, once in the Canada West final, and once in the national final. 3 of those 6 games ended in a 1-1 draw, which was exactly the score of at the end of regulation time in the national final. The T-Birds were down for 10 minutes in the second half after Victoria's Amanda Kuryanowicz opened the scoring. Gabby Jamie of UBC answered with a goal of her own in the 61st minute to tie the game 1-1, and UBC went on to win in strokes with goals from Donahoe and Sarah Keglowicz and a shutout from goalie Gabriella Schwitzer. Graduating this year are forwards Hannah and Jamie alongside midfielder Caitlin Gordon. This will leave the Thunderbirds with 5 seniors next season, including U Sports Co-Player of the Year Donahoe. Looking forward to her first season as a UBC alumnus and not playing on the team, Hahn is convinced that her teammates will carry on the legacy that has been created in her time. Spoken like a truly wise veteran, she had some advice for the team on her departure. You can have the most talented group of athletes on a team, but it is hard to be successful if you don't think you can win. Doubt breeds tentativeness. I think if the team continues to work hard and believes in the process, they will continue to be successful. For the Canada West Conference, I'm Jamie Hills.
Thank you very much, Jamie, and welcome to the Coast team. Kingston, Ontario holds one of the great untapped rivalries in all of sports. OUA correspondent Maddie Harris went to Kingston to find out more on the great rivalry between Queens and RMC.
Kingston's just a great hockey city to start with. Some people say this is where hockey began and was created. So it's a great hockey community. It's the one sport that is big at both schools that's competed for a long time.
The first hockey game was allegedly Queens versus RMC. I know there's a lot of debate over that, but as a Queens student, I kind of vouch for it.
And when I made the decision to come to RMC, I made it for a lot of reasons, but one of them wasn't the rivalry between Queens and RMC. That's something I came to see when I was here. But as soon as I got here the first year, immediately I see how big of a rivalry that is.
I think the city sort of comes out and supports it because RMC and Queens are such big parts of the city of Kingston, just both for economics and, I mean, things to do and tourism. It's just, both institutions are right at the center of Kingston's core.
Everyone's going to be nervous, and to play in front of the fans that are there, like, we're not really used to that in the CIS hockey. We're not. I think it's probably one of the most fans that any team's going to get in the CIS, and it brings kind of a new kind of challenge for everyone that is playing in the game.
I mean, it's still a game. It's 2 points for us, so we always need to win that. But the added expectation of the cup and playing in front of the entire city at the K-Rock Center, it obviously has a lot more meaning to it than any other game.
It's a small hockey community. We know a lot of the guys in the other teams and RMC, and we're buddies with them. But that goes out the window pretty quick come game time.
It's just a nice challenge for us.
We're in a deep battle. Like, we don't like them, they don't like us when we're on the ice.
They're very physical, but for us, we're more of a little more skilled team, so I think we possess the puck a little better.
All the alumni know and come back and ask, how are you going to do at Carr Harris this year? And so to be able to get a win and be competitive in it, I think would be great for our graduating guys.
Time flies. Next thing you know, 4 years have gone by, and that rivalry, those 4 Carr Harris games have passed. It's important to embrace it while you can, and that starts in the first year with the older guys passing that down.
Not many people can say that they've participated in the Carr Harris Cup, and you know, when I grow up and my kids are looking back maybe at what was the first game I ever played in Canada, you're like, well, I was part of that tradition. It's kind of neat to think about, actually.
Acadia University is being celebrated for their hosting of the 2016 U Sports Women's Soccer Championship. AUS correspondent Christian Ryan is in Wolfville, Nova Scotia with more on the tournament.
Thanks, Jackson. I'm currently coming to you from the Acadia Athletics Complex in Wolfville, Nova Scotia. Just outside of this complex is Raymond Field, where Acadia University hosted the 2016 CIS Women's Soccer Championships. This would mark the biggest event on the 2016 AUS division calendar across all varsity programs. In regards to the U Sports rebrand, you may notice that the signage around the venue still reads CIS SIC. However, this is not to say that the tournament is behind in times. Acadia is a small but mighty university, and due to its small size, it may not seem like the most obvious choice to host a major national tournament. However, Wolfville opened its doors to the country on November 10th, starting off the tournament with a bang, lighting up the Nova Scotian town sky with an impressive firework display. From there, the tournament went off without a hitch. The school's own Acadia Axewomen guaranteed participation by hosting, impressed with a 5th place ranking across the 3-day tournament that saw universities from across Canada take over campus while they fought for the national title. Ultimately, the finals would see Laval Rouge et Or of the RSEQ and the UBC Thunderbirds of Canada West. Laval would take the title with their 2-1 victory, but despite their 5th place finish, Acadia University would prove the biggest spectacle of the event. The school represented the Atlantic Canada and the AUS perfectly, with that classic characteristic charm and hospitality. The University of Ontario Institute of Technology Ridgebacks would be one of many schools to extend their gratitude. Tweeting, UOIT would like to thank Acadia for hosting an amazing U Sports Championship, an experience our athletes will never forget. With Acadia set to take on more national U Sports events, such as the 2018 Men's Basketball Championship, expect to see Acadia become a championship destination for years to come as we enter this new era of Canadian university sports. With it, look for a resurgence of the AUS as one of the top divisions in the country, as the national spotlight is back on the East Coast and will be synonymous with champions. For the AUS in Wolfville, Nova Scotia, I'm Christian Ryan. Back to Jackson Jacobs with Coast to Coast.
Thank you, Christian. In 2017, Ryerson University will host the U Sports Women's Volleyball National Championship. We sent our own Ben Ramos-Salzberg to Ryerson to cover the preparation. Ben?
All right, thanks, Jackson. I'm here inside the Madme Athletic Center at the Coca-Cola Court, home to the Ryerson men's and women's volleyball teams. This year, the building will be hosting the U Sports National Tournament for women's volleyball. The facility has seen a tournament in the past, most recently the CIS tournament for men's basketball in 2015. This year's volleyball tournament looks to be fierce, with reigning champions, the U of T Varsity Blues, already off to a 5-0 start after winning the tournament, and OUA Gold, and now at a 5-0 record. The other teams that will be featured in the tournament include, most likely, the 2 teams of British Columbia, UBC and UBC Okanagan, who are both out of the gate with a 4-0 start. Ryerson is already guaranteed a berth in the tournament, as well as they claimed OUA silver last year, but didn't have the overall record to make it to the national tournament. This year looks to be fierce with all the storylines heading up. Thanks a lot, Jackson.
Yeah, Ben, how does hosting a U Sports event benefit Ryerson?
Event like this gives everyone an opportunity to see the facilities, as well as gives Ryerson some exposure on the outside.
I understand there will be a specific location for this event. What will that event be?
The tournament will be held not in the Coca-Cola court where they play the regular season games. It will be held up in Mattamy home ice, where the Ryerson hockey teams play their games, and was recently home to the Jordan Brand Classic during the NBA All-Star break.
Thank you, Ben. We are definitely looking forward to that event later in the year. Coming up, an interview with You Can Play VP of Development and Operations, Jillian Svensson. After these messages, stay tuned to Coast to Coast.
If you can play, you can play.
Remember what it's like to truly let yourself go. To escape with no thought of what you left behind. To live in the moment, for the moment, and travel on a whim from one surprise to another. Freedom is a place, and it's here. In every rock, every smile, every turn, let go and take yourself there. Nova Scotia.
There's something unique about sports that brings us all together.
It unites us.
The fields, the courts, and the tracks.
They are hallowed grounds walked by those who have the ability to take on the challenge.
And when we are out there,
the only thing that differs between you and me is the jersey over our shoulder and the number on our back.
Because we are all athletes.
If you're going to make that pass, you'll make it. If you're going to score, you will.
But not because of your sexual orientation, but because you have what it takes to play.
What it takes to win.
If you can tackle, you can tackle.
If you can spike, you can spike.
If you can score, you can score.
If you can play, you can play.
Welcome back to Coast. I'm joined by Jillian Svensson, Vice President of Development and Operations of You Can Play, an initiative that tackles the issues of homophobia in sports. We just saw a short video regarding their involvement with the University of Toronto Varsity Blues, detailing the initiative's involvement in youth sports. Jillian, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So first of all, can you briefly explain the initiative itself, and as well as your involvement with the initiative?
Yes, so You Can Play in 2009, Brian Burke was the president and GM of the Toronto Maple Leafs. His son Brendan came out to the family and said he was gay and dropped out of hockey because of the homophobic language in the locker room. So Brian stood with Brendan and did a huge media blitz and said, we are going to end homophobia in sports, especially with language in the locker room. Very tragically, 3 months later, Brendan passed away in a car crash. So we are created in honor of Brendan Burke's legacy, and really it humbles us in the work that we do and how we do it, and really honoring his work and himself and the Burke family.
Now, You Can Play has significant involvement with the NHL and CFL, particularly right here in Toronto with the upcoming Grey Cup. How crucial is the initiative at that level of professional sports, and how does these markets help You Can Play?
Well, pro athletes are role models, you know, and so for us to be able to train and educate and help them utilize their platform to advocate and support the LGBTQ community is massive. The public awareness is needed. The youth need to see these role models, supporting them, loving them, including them, reaching out that authentic hand saying, you know, we love you and accept you, come, sports is safe for you, is incredibly important, and that public awareness can't be overstated, the impact of that.
And now moving away from professional sports back into collegiate, what is the current activation with U Sports, and where can it really go from here?
So right now we're really taking it on a school-by-school basis. They come and they reach out to You Can Play, and we coordinate, you know, PSAs in different schools. Sometimes they do You Can Play games across all of their sports. So it really we tailor it to what the school wants to achieve. So really we're starting and looking forward to expanding that across the country.
And as we just saw with the U of T Varsity Blues, how can a school get involved with You Can Play?
So I think we should be followed on social media, so Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We have a YouTube channel, and our website is a huge hub of information. So if a school wants to get involved with us, please reach out to us. All of our contact information is on the website, as well as resources they can start taking a look at to see how they can incorporate the You Can Play message on their campus.
And a big iconic step in this initiative was that of Pride Tape. So can you take us through what Pride Tape is and the involvement in major sports, how it has assisted the cause of You Can Play?
Well, it's a nonverbal sign of inclusion. So when an athlete tapes their stick with Pride Tape, they don't have to say a word, because the LGBTQ community knows that those are our colors, and that is a sign of support and acceptance, and that you are welcome on my team. So to be able to see pro athletes, university, college, high school athletes, grassroots athletes putting this on their sticks is incredibly important, especially for the youth to know that they have support in places they never thought that they had it in.
That's Jillian Svensson, the Vice President of Development and Operations with You Can Play. Jillian, thank you so much for joining us today on Coast to Coast.
Thank you for having me.
U Sports athletes on one team live busy lives, but this Ryerson athlete has 2 varsity teams she is committed to, as well as full-time studies. Here's a day in the life of Beth Clipper.
She was pretty docile actually as a baby, and not super energetic per se. She was pretty calm.
A senior rod! Oh, dingles!
She was doing a bunch of sports. She was doing soccer, she was doing gymnastics, and we're just kind of letting her experience all of them and make her own decision as to what she wanted to play.
Beth ultimately chose hockey as her #1 sport and took her talents to Ryerson University, where her interest in broadcasting enticed her to the all-new sport media program. After a successful rookie year anchoring the Rams on defense, a new opportunity came about for the Cambridge native.
We started the season down probably 8 bodies than we intended. So we were desperate for bodies to fill some positions that knew soccer and could contribute. We set the call out to our other colleagues that, hey, is there any other athletes that play and would be interested? And sure enough, Beth Clipper was one that came to mind.
Beth Clipper did just that, using her speed to play striker on the women's soccer team, becoming Ryerson's first double varsity athlete, drawing high praise from both her coaches.
I think that's the biggest thing that Beth brings is her intangibles. She brings the right attitude. She's positive. She's excited to be at the rink every day, be a part of the group. I think she takes her fitness seriously. She takes her academics seriously. So I think she leads by example in a lot of those intangible ways. And also the fact that she's a big, strong, athletic player for us that's able to play a safe game that keeps us out of trouble.
Oh, Beth is a wave of positive energy. She's a strong person of character. She's enthusiastic, and that's engaging. It's contagious with other people, and she's the kind of player you want all your others to emulate.
Make no mistake though, as great an athlete as she is, school always comes first. Last December, she received a letter from the Governor General at the Dean's Breakfast, an award given to U Sports Academic All-Canadians, making her school and some people back home very proud.
I was really proud of Beth being Academic All-Canadian because she had a full 5 classes. She worked hard at her classes in first year, and she really wanted to play on the Ryerson team, and she worked hard all summer to play on that team. So she's worked hard and she's done well at Ryerson, and truthfully, that was the only school she ever wanted.
Coming up next on Coast to Coast, Anton Senderak will join us to discuss the Vanier Cup.
They say pressure can trap you, stop you, swallow you whole. What we should fear is the absence of pressure. No pressure, no chance.
Road to the Vanier Cup is brought to you by Chevrolet. Find new roads.
We're on site here at Tim Hortons Field, Hamilton's new $145 million facility, home of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. The 24,000-seat stadium will host this year and next year's Vanier Cup, where the champion of Canadian University football will be crowned Saturday, November 26th. Glenn Grunwald, Director of Athletics at McMaster University, said, "Hamilton is well known as a community that loves sports in general and football in particular. I am counting on the sports fans of Hamilton that have supported football at all levels so well over the years to come out in force to attend this great event. Our goal will be to present Hamilton as a first-class sports town and play the ArcelorMittal Dofasco Vanier Cup in front of a sold-out crowd." CIS, now U Sports CEO Graham Brown, said, "The city of Hamilton, with McMaster University and ArcelorMittal Dofasco at its core, is the perfect place to help bring our Vanier Cup vision to life." The Quebec RSEQ division has dominated this event for the past 13 years, appearing in 10 of the last 13 championship games, winning 8 titles. The competition level is always at its highest at this stage, as the last 2 Vanier Cups were decided by 3 points or less. Tickets are still available for the event, and it will be aired in English on Sportsnet and in French on TVA Sport. With Coast to Coast, I'm Anton Senderak.
At the conclusion of his Canada-wide road to the Vanier Cup Tour, Anton joins us in the studio. Now you've seen university football from across Canada. What sticks out to you the most?
Jackson, how are you? I'm great. University football in Canada. What has blown me away for the past couple of years is the consistency of the RSEQ division in making it to the finals of the Vanier Cup and often winning.
And now, what has been the key to RSEQ and specifically Laval's success up to this point?
There's a couple of things we can consider here. First of all, a lot of people say that because Laval, they have the Cégep system in Quebec, players play for longer, and a lot of their key players are older than some of the teams from other divisions. So that sometimes has something to do with that. But in Laval, they have 18,000 seats stadium. People sell out every single game. So they have a huge fan base, and they're really, really well coached all the time.
And now going into this game this weekend, how do you think Laval is going to prepare to face Calgary?
Well, what's really key for this is neither team has played each other yet this season. So basically, they have 4 game tapes of each other's teams to prepare. So that, along with in-game adjustments, will be huge for Laval as well as Calgary. And we saw that in Calgary's game against St. FX during the Mitchell Bowl, where they went into the half tied and they outscored St. FX 32-10 in the second half.
Anton, thank you for joining me here. That's all the time we have for this week's edition of Coast to Coast. I'd like to take a moment to thank all of the guests today, as well as our correspondents from all across the country. We are now ready for a new season with U Sports. Until we meet again in a week's time, tune in next week as we see our final coverage of this year's U Sports football season as the Calgary Dinos and the Laval Rouge et Or face off this weekend, November 26th in Hamilton, Ontario. For Coast to Coast, I'm Jackson Jacobs. We'll see you next time, Canada.